ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Shakhi Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Pancha Tattva ki jai. Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimha Dev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Vishutarine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu Nittang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 32, Text 32. jñāna-yogaśca man-niṣṭho nairguṇyo bhakti-lakṣaṇaḥ dvayor api ekaḥ evārtho bhagavat-chabda-lakṣaṇaḥ jñāna-yogaśca man-niṣṭho nairguṇyo bhakti-lakṣaṇaḥ dvayor 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 evārtho bhagavat-chabda-lakṣaṇaḥ jñāna-yogaśca man-niṣṭho Matajis, jñāna-yogaḥ, philosophical research, cha and mat-niṣṭhaḥ, directed towards me, nairguṇyaḥ, free from the material modes of nature, bhakti, devotional service, lakṣaṇaḥ, named, dvayor, of both, api, moreover, ekaḥ, one, eva, certainly, arthaḥ, purpose, bhagavat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, śabda, by the word, lakṣaṇaḥ, signified. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from the material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service. Either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research, one has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat after me. Philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from the material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service. Either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research, one has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that after many, many lives of philosophical research, the wise man ultimately comes to the point of knowing that Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is everything, and therefore he surrenders unto Him. Such serious students in philosophical research are rare because they are very great souls. If by philosophical research one cannot come to the point of understanding the Supreme Person, then his task is not finished. His research in knowledge is still to be continued until he comes to the point of understanding the Supreme Lord in devotional service. The opportunity for direct touch with the personality of Godhead is given in Bhagavad Gita, where it is also said that those who take to other processes, namely the process of philosophical speculation and mystic yoga practice, have much trouble. After many, many years of much trouble, a yogi or wise philosopher may come to him, but his path is very troublesome. Whereas the path of devotional service is easy for everyone. One can achieve the result of wise philosophical speculation simply by discharging devotional service, and unless one reaches the point of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his mental speculation, all his research work is said to be simply a labor of love. The ultimate destination of the wise philosopher is to merge in the impersonal Brahman. But the Brahman is the effulgence of the Supreme Person. Brahman is the effulgence of the Supreme Person. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14:27, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amrita sabbhayasacha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahma, which is indestructible and is the supreme bliss. The Lord is the supreme reservoir of all pleasure, including Brahman pleasure. Therefore, one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be already realized in impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishthang Sthapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from the material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service, either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research. One has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, here it's being pointed out that devotional service is the ultimate spiritual achievement. Devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of the entire Vedic wisdom. In simple words, devotional service is the highest spiritual achievement. Quite some time ago, quite a few years ago, once I was having a discussion with a sadhu with long beard and hair, saffron robes, sannyasi. And I told him that this is the best that I have found. If you have anything better than this, give it to me, I will accept it. And then he got into a discussion, and he had to accept that devotional service is the highest. Because in the material, especially in India, the sadhus are generally impersonalists. Most of them are impersonalists. And that person was sincere. He accepted bhakti. He shaved up his long hair and beard and joined ISKCON. So if somebody is sincere, then he will see that devotional service is the ultimate spiritual achievement. Srimad Bhagavatam is indicating that. Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Through jnana, one achieves Brahman realization. Through yoga, one perceives the Paramatma, Super Soul in the heart. But through devotion, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood or recognized. Badanti tattattva vidas tattvam jajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdati. So the ultimate is Bhagavan. Paramatma is his localized aspect in everyone's heart, and Brahman Brahma Jyoti is his bodily effulgence. And through the Vedic understanding here, it has been pointed out that through philosophical approach, one ultimately comes to the point of bhakti. But the philosophical process is very arduous. And here, when they say philosophical approach, it is not just philosophical speculation. It is following certain philosophical tenets, certain philosophical process that has been prescribed in the Vedas. The Vedas have 6 branches of philosophy known as Sat Darshan. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, and 2 Mimamsas, Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. And the Vedic wisdom is divided into 3 branches, 3 khandas. Khanda means branch from a tree. One is Karma Kanda, then Jnana Kanda, and then finally Bhakti. And these branches have been analyzed through different philosophical understanding or philosophical approach. The Karma Kanda section is analyzed by Karma Mimamsa, which is also known as Purva Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa means preliminary conclusion. Preliminary conclusion. And that conclusion is that everyone wants to enjoy. But one must know how to enjoy. Because wrong action will lead to suffering, but right action will lead to enjoyment. And enjoyment is happiness. Happiness is fulfillment of desire. And when the desires are fulfilled, one becomes happy. So this Karma Kanda section, which is analyzed by Purva Mimamsa, is just giving the understanding of karmic reactions. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Not an equal and opposite, but to every action there is a reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap. Simple understanding. As you act, accordingly you'll get the result. So Vedas are giving the understanding. How to act so that the result will be, the result will lead to happiness. Fine, you want to enjoy material nature, go ahead, enjoy. Vedas are not saying don't enjoy. Vedas are saying that if that is what you want, go ahead, enjoy. But enjoy it in the right way. One may think that if I get a lot of money, then I will enjoy. And he robs a bank. But although he has the money, but he ends up in the prison. Instead of enjoying, he suffers in the prison. So one must know how to act in a proper way. What is the right action? And Karma Kanda section is giving all those prescriptions. You want to be very rich? Okay, act in this way, you'll become very rich. You want to become the king? Go ahead, perform these activities, you'll become a king. You are still not satisfied. You want to become the king of the entire earth planet? No problem. Perform these activities, you'll become the king of the entire earth planet. Still not satisfied? Okay. You want to go to heavenly planet? Fine. You want to become Indra? Fine. But ultimately, in spite of all his endeavor for enjoyment, one realizes that I am suffering. So then the question arises, why am I suffering? I am trying to enjoy, but why am I suffering? And that is actually taking from Karma Kanda section to the Jnana Kanda section. And then the first consideration is, why am I suffering? And that is leading him to the branch of philosophy known as Nyaya, logic. And what is the ultimate conclusion? This material nature is a place of suffering. Dukkhalayam ashashatam. And this body is a wonderful instrument, wonderful machine to receive pain. Maya jantra rudhani mayaya. Maya is placing us in this beautiful jantra through which we are actually trying to enjoy, but it is actually an instrument to receive pain. How? Take any part of your body, no matter how insignificant it is. Say your earlobe, right? Consider in how many ways you can give pain to this earlobe. Take a knife and cut it. Take some fire, burn it. Take some stones and smash it. So, in so many ways you can inflict pain to this earlobe. Now you consider in how many ways you can give pleasure to this earlobe. Practically non-existent. And that actually applies to every single part of your body. In so many ways we can inflict pain to different parts of the body, but there is no way practically that can compare to the suffering of that part. The pleasure that can be compared to the suffering of that part. So then what's the conclusion? This body is a wonderful instrument, wonderful jantra to receive pain. So in a world which is meant for suffering, in a body that is meant for receiving pain, what else can you get? But Krishna has endowed us with one thing called intelligence. And with intelligence we try to avoid these painful situations. Oh, the fire will burn me. So avoid the fire. The car is coming. So don't cross the road now, because the car will hit you. So this is how, with our intelligence, we try to avoid these suffering conditions. But then the question arises, then what is this material nature? What is this world? That leads us to the Vaisheshika branch of philosophy, through which we get to know that ultimately this perceivable reality is combination of paramanus, or minutest particles or atoms. This whole creation is actually minutest particles in different, you can say different velocity and pressure gives rise to these impressions. Then it goes to the next branch of philosophy, the analytical study. Let's analyze this world. What is this? So that is called Sankhya. So Sankhya first considers that there are 5 elements and we have 5 senses. And these senses interact with the 5 elements, and as a result of that, 5 objects of the senses are generated. The ear interacts with ether, sound is produced. Skin interacts with air, touch is produced. Eyes interact with fire, foam is produced. Tongue interacts with water, taste is produced. Nose interacts with earth, smell is produced. So due to the interaction between the 5 elements and 5 senses, 5 objects of the senses are generated. And then they consider that there are 5 working senses: speech, hands, belly, anus and genitals. So 5 working senses. So 4 5s are 20. Then they consider that there are 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence and false ego. And then they finally come to the Mahatattva, which is a basic ingredient for the entire creation. So with this 24 consideration, they analyze the entire material nature. But then they consider that all these 24 considerations are objective in nature. They're objects. But the objects cannot exist without the subject. So, who is the subject? I am the subject. I am, therefore this is. And that I is the soul. And so this is how Sankhya actually transcends the material nature and approaches the spiritual reality. Beyond this material nature, beyond this objective reality, there is a subjective reality. Now, Sankhya actually analyzes it through extensive discussions and studies and observations. But Krishna actually analyzed it in just 2 verses. Jai Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. Krishna analyzed this in just 2 verses. Remember? Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Khang Mano Buddhirevacha Ahankara Ityang Me Bhinna Prakritir Ashtadha. Bhinna Prakriti. This material nature is composed of 8 elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. But this creation, this nature, composed of these 8 elements, is inferior, or rather separated. Bhinna, separated. This is my separated energy. But then he says, Aparayamitasthannam prakriting vidhi me param. Beyond this inferior nature, there is a superior nature of mind, and jiva bhutang mahabaho jajedang dharjate jagat. The living entities are coming from that superior nature, and they are sustaining this material nature. In this material nature, this jiva bhutang, they are trying to enjoy by exploiting this material nature. So this is how Krishna establishes that beyond this perceivable reality, there is another reality which is beyond our sense perception, and the living entities have come from there. In this way, Krishna established the source of the living entities being spiritual. So, now in Sankhya actually then considers that the souls are minute and many. So anything that is minute and many must have a source. And the source of all souls is the Supreme Soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then that conclusion leads to the next branch called yoga. The Jiva Bhuta and Param Ishvar. Jiva and Ishwar. What's the relationship between Jiva and Ishwar? How that relationship can be established. That is the process of yoga. And the yoga deals with 8 branches. Ashtanga yoga, yam, niyam, external purification, internal purification, then asana, to become situated in this body in such a way that we can use this body to reach our destination. This human form of life, this human body comes with a wonderful opportunity that through this body we can actually reach our ultimate destination, but we must know how to utilize this body. And that aspect is actually asana. What goes on in the name of yoga nowadays is only this asana aspect. But they don't understand the real purpose of the yoga. Then it goes to the pranayam. Prana ayanam. The controlling of the life air. The life air is signified by breathing. And the breathing has a direct connection to our thought process. The yoga is the process of chitta vritti nirodha, controlling the activities of the mind. So this pranayama, although it's breathing process, but the breathing process generally we think is inhaling and exhaling. But this pranayama aspect of yoga considers, no, there is another third consideration. What is the third consideration? Is kumbhaka, retaining. Inhaling, retaining, exhaling. Inhaling, retaining, exhaling. So this is how they master the art of practically stopping the breathing process. They don't breathe for a long, long time. Like, I don't know whether you have gone to Kumbh Mela. In Kumbh Mela you see these so-called yogis. They go under the ground. They seal them up in a trunk, lock it up, they bury them, and they stay there for long, long time. How do they do that? They stop breathing. They master the art of breathing, stopping to breathe. So then when one masters this pranayama aspect, then he is able to withdraw his senses from the objects of the senses. Pratyahar, withdrawal. Senses are now withdrawn from the objects of the senses. Otherwise, the senses are constantly running towards the objects of the senses. Dhayate vishan pungsa shangaste shupajayate. Dhayate, constantly running towards the objects of the senses. But here the yogi restrains his senses from going out. And then comes meditation or dhyana. When you have been successful in withdrawing your senses from the objects of the senses, then only you are able to project your consciousness to the core of your hearts. Dhyana. And when the dhyana becomes fixed, it is dharana, the seventh stage, and finally the eighth stage is samadhi, perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the heart. So this is how the perfection, through the process of yoga, one achieves the perfection, but it's a very, very arduous process. There had been extremely exalted personalities who meditated or tried to achieve yogic perfection for thousands of years, but still didn't succeed. Like Vishwamitra. 64,000 years of this tapasya, still fell down. How? Just his senses are withdrawn. But ear is something that you can't really block. And the sweet sound of some ankle bells entered through his ears. And his eyes opened up. And he saw this beautiful Apsara, Menaka. End of it. His sadhana. So that's how difficult it is to achieve perfection through yoga. All these processes are very arduous, difficult. But then when one achieves this perfection, that's why Prabhupada is pointing out in the purport, it's very, very difficult. Abbhakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhi parivartate. It's very, because this process ultimately ends in suffering. It's very difficult to achieve perfection this way. But just in case one achieves the perfection, then what happens? The minute, atomic, individual souls sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what happens? When a small person comes across a great person, what is the natural attitude? Surrender. In respect, his head bends down. And that surrender is called prapatti in Sanskrit, or sharanagati. Sharanagati. Surrender. And this takes us to the final aspect of this sixth branch of philosophy, Uttar Mimamsa, or final conclusion. Surrender to the Lord, which is the mother of devotion, very foundation of devotional service. So now we can see, like, through all these, following these six processes of darshan, Vedic darshan, ultimately we come to the point of recognizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead and need to surrender unto Him. On the other hand, bhakti, which is achieved by the mercy of a devotee. Bhakti, the way to receive bhakti is only by the mercy of a devotee. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elaborately discussed that point in Madhurya Kadambini. That Krishna doesn't give bhakti. It's the bhakta that gives bhakti. We can consider, how did we receive bhakti? Somehow or other we came across Srila Prabhupada or Prabhupada's devotees, and as a result of that we got bhakti. We came to this path of devotion. So one is a very difficult process and the other is a very simple process. It can be compared like there is a high, tall building, skyscraper. Now you can climb up, say 150 story. Will it be easy? But if you get onto a helicopter and it lands on the helipad on top of the building, you're on top of the building. So bhakti is the process as easy as that. We are situated right on top of the spiritual perfection by the mercy of a devotee. So this is what our scriptures are indicating, the extent of good fortune that Srila Prabhupada created for us. It is because of him all over the world, innumerable people are receiving bhakti today. And his representatives, the devotees, are going out distributing this bhakti. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that. And then again, like it is not just Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the highest bhakti. Like we came to the platform of bhakti, but then bhakti also has different levels. One is karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti, shuddha bhakti. Shuddha bhakti is in Vaikuntha. But then beyond that is prema bhakti. Prema bhakti, that is the result, the loving exchange between Krishna and his devotees in Vrindavan. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us that. Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Right. Gauratishe Namaha. So this is the good fortune that Srila Prabhupada created for us on behalf of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to distribute this. And Srila Prabhupada, as a perfect representative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, are distributing it all over the world. So that is what we got. And that's why very boldly we can declare, this is the best we found. If you have anything better than this, give it to me, I'll accept it. But there is a condition. In the Vedic culture, the condition is that you get into a debate or argument, say debate, and the loser has to accept the winner's decision. And that's how they used to conquer. The loser has to accept the winner's conclusion because he lost it. So that is better. That is higher. So this is how one is always aspiring for the highest perfection. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented this in such a systematic way. Not only that in Srimad Bhagavatam it has been pointed out that bhakti is the highest, but the ultimate perfection of bhakti is actually prema bhakti of Golok. Golokero Premodhan, Harinama Sankirtan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established it through different discussions. Most wonderfully, it has been done through his discussion with Ramananda Roy. He went step by step from Varnashram to Karma Yoga, to Karma Tyaga, then Jnana Yoga, then Bhakti. And then he didn't stop at that. He accepted, yes, that's right. Prior to that, he's no. Rejected. But when it came to Bhakti, yes, that's right. Tell me something beyond that. Okay, there are 5 kinds of Bhakti. In 5 different mellows. Santya, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhur. And when it came to Madhur, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, yes, that's right. Tell me what's beyond that. In conjugal relationship, tell me what's beyond that. Ramanandra's expression was, I don't know anyone could ever ask what's beyond that. But you are asking me and you are empowering me to answer. So if you empower me, then maybe I'll be able to answer. And then he comes to recognizing Srimati Radharani. Among all the gopis, she is the highest. The same conclusion Sanatana Goswami presented through his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. In first part, Narad Muni's search of the greatest devotee. And going one after another devotee. A Brahmana worshipping his shalagram on the bank of Jamuna. He directs to the king. No, his response is, no, I'm not a great devotee. I'm not the recipient of the Lord's love, Lord's mercy. That king is the greatest devotee. And he gives the reason why. I'm a Brahmana, it's my occupational duty to worship the Lord. But he's a Kshatriya, but still the way he's worshipping the Lord. It's not his occupational duty is to rule the kingdom. But he is worshipping the Lord in such a grand way. Goes to the king says, no, I'm not the great devotee. Indra is the greatest devotee. Goes to Indra says, no, I'm not the greatest devotee. Brahma is the greatest devotee. He goes to Brahma chastises Narad. What are you talking about? Don't you know how many times I offended the Lord and you called me the recipient of His mercy? Actually, Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. Then Lord Shiva says, no, I'm not the greatest devotee. The residents of Vaikuntha are the greatest devotee. Then Parvati says, yes, and among all the residents of Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi is the greatest devotee. So when Narada was about to go to Vaikuntha, then Shiva said, look, actually the greatest devotee is Prahlad. So Narad Muni goes to Prahlad and he gives the reason why Prahlad is the greatest devotee. But then when he goes to Prahlad Maharaj very humbly says, what devotion did you see in me? I was just a little boy and I didn't have any knowledge, didn't have any understanding. Somehow or other I developed some attachment to the Lord. But actually devotion is synonymous to service. What service did I render? Look at Hanuman, he is the greatest devotee. Look what he has done. Then Narad Muni goes to Hanuman. Then Hanuman says, no. Pandavas are the greatest devotees. Lord is always with them. He goes to Pandavas. Pandavas says, no, the Jadus are the greatest devotees. Goes to Jadu, says that Uddhav is the greatest devotee. And then finally, through that, it comes to Krishna is lamenting, Krishna is yearning to go to Vrindavan. The queens are at meeting. although Krishna is here with us, but he is somewhere else. During the daytime, his mind is somewhere else. He is always absent-minded, as if his mind is somewhere else. And at night, he calls out to all these residents of Vrindavan, the cows of Vrindavan. And hearing that, Krishna just fainted. And everyone was worried what to do. Brahma came and said, Vishwakarma created a new Vrindavan. So called Garuda, and told Balaram to go with Krishna. Krishna was dressed up like a cowherd boy. And Balaram woke him up. Krishna, Krishna, wake up, it's so late. Krishna wakes up and tells his mother, Mother, see Mother Jashoda, I had such an amazing dream. I dreamt that I became a king somewhere. And I got married to thousands of princesses. This is how they saw how Krishna was reciprocating with. And especially the way Krishna was reciprocating with Srimati Radharani. That indicated that Radharani is the greatest devotee. So this is how it has been established. The highest form of devotion is the devotion of the gopis in Vrindavan. That Vishwanath Chakravarti concluded Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings is this way. Aradha Bhagavan Brajesho Tanay Stadhama Vrindavanam Ramma Kachidupashana Brajabadhu Vargena Jakalpita. The way the Brajabadhus, the cowherd damsels, worshipped him, that's the highest form of worship. That's the highest form of devotion. Brajabadhu Vargena Jakalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. The spotless Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, is the Praman, is the proof. The Vedic approach is, whenever you say something, has to be established with some scriptural evidence. So here, Bhagavatam is the proof. And in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it has been established. And with the discussion with Ramananda Rai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established why Srimati Radharani is the greatest. He gives the example. Krishna is dancing with 16,000 gopis. There is one Krishna between two gopis, but in the center, Krishna is dancing with one gopi. So this gopi must be very special. And then when this gopi got upset and left the Rasamandali, Krishna left all the gopis and followed her. So that shows that she is the highest, she is the greatest. Anayaradhitananam. One who is extremely exclusive in her service to Krishna. So this is how, time and time again, it has been proven that this is the highest that one can ever get. And when you read second part of Brihad Bhagavatamritam, I don't have enough time to go into that, you will see Gopkumar was elevated to Vaikuntha. He was not satisfied. He was elevated to Ayodhya. He is elevated to Dwarka, associating with Krishna and the queens. The queens are treating him like their own child. Still he is not satisfied. What does it mean? A devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not be satisfied until he goes to Vrindavan. If you are elevated to Vaikuntha, will you settle down there? How many of you will settle down in Vaikuntha? No one. Okay, what about Dwarka? What about Vrindavan? Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have a few minutes. If anyone has any question or comment. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for your wonderful class. Maharaj, my question is that I heard that bhakti is simple for the simple and complicated for the complicated. Could you please comment on this?
Yeah. Simple for the simple means those who accept it with full faith. For him it's simple. But those who are complex, they think, oh, maybe this is not. Good luck. Yes. Swarupa means spiritual identity. Swarup means spiritual identity.
So what are the category of Swarupa?
That is up to Krishna. It's up to Krishna. It's not up to us to demand. Oh, Vaikuntha is not good enough, I must go to Vrindavan. Okay, that's fine. But in Vrindavan, I'll become a cowherd boy. No, cowherd boy is not good enough. I'll become Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj is not good enough. I'll become a gopi. Gopi is not good enough. I'll become Radharani. And so, Swarup is not up to us. It is there, Swarupa, one's spiritual identity. And it is there, Swarup, will be revealed when we achieve our spiritual perfection.
So, Jivere Swarupa, that is not related
yes,
to this.
Jiver Swarupa, Krishna Nityadas. A living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna. All living entities are eternal servant of Krishna. That is his spiritual Swarup. It starts from servitorship, and then it's up to, you start with servitorship, then leave it up to Krishna to decide where he wants to place you. Okay?
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Okay. Yes? Okay. Yeah. Ask Vishwamitra. Thank you very much. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.